Welcome, everybody. My name is Sandy Graham, and I'm the CEO of Vasa Publishing and the co-director of Vasa, the Vedic Academy of Science and Arts. We're here today to celebrate the launch of our new title, Dreaming the Countless Worlds, an epic creation story by Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi. To our friends and esteemed guests, welcome, and thank you for being with us today. Today, we're going to hear from our chief guest, Sri Manish, the Consul General of India for Vancouver, our special guests, Laura Plumb, Shanuk Tiwari, Dr. Lucy Guest, and Nilesh Oak. So today we're going to hear from our chief guest, Sri Manish, Consul General of India for Vancouver, and after that, our words from our special guests, and then Jeffrey will come on and share some highlights of Dreaming the Countless Worlds and explain some of the deeper meanings hidden in this work. In closing, he'll also answer some questions from the audience. So before we begin, I'd like to tell you a little bit about this amazing book. Dreaming the Countless Worlds is an epic 888 lines of poetry written in an enthralling storytelling format. In this groundbreaking work, Jeffrey weaves together the threads of creation, transcendence, divine presence, and the cosmic struggle into a single and cohesive tapestry. The subjects of this poem are the transcendental realm of Brahman, from where we all originated, the processes by which the material cosmos comes into being, who we are and why we have embarked upon this great adventure of birth, death, and rebirth, the nature of cosmic time, the elements of which reality is composed, the nature of both the sustaining and destructive reality, the Asuras and the Devas, who populate and struggle in the material world, and the supreme beings, along with their numerous immortal companions, who periodically descend from the material realms, allowing us to experience their immortal existence. And finally, Jeffrey explains the possibility of a profound and affectionate bond with the supreme being, embracing their masculine and feminine aspects as a pathway to achieving our deepest aspirations. He explains how these emotions hold the key to comprehending our true nature, an inconceivably sweet and loving union that words cannot easily capture. This is a beautiful poem that inspires over and over again and reminds us that we are not alone and that we are divinely loved. After the show, you can go on to GitaComesAlive.com or JeffreyArmstrong.com, and if you purchase before midnight tonight, we'll send it to you free shipping. All right. Tonight, our chief guest, we're very honored to have India's Consul General Sri Manish to inaugurate this auspicious event. Mr. Manish is a career diplomat. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1997. In his over 22 years of diplomatic career so far, he has served in Indian missions in Moscow, Tashkent, Prague, Colombo, and Jakarta. In between his overseas assignments, he served in New Delhi at the Ministry of External Affairs, first as Undersecretary in the US and Canada Division and the Foreign Service Institute, and then as Duty Secretary in the United Nations Political Division from August 2004 to July 2007. He was instrumental in Jeffrey receiving the ICCR Distinguished Indologist Award and was the chief guest at the inauguration of the Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive. The Consul General holds a BSc honors degree in physics and the Bachelor's of Law degree from the University of Delhi in India. He speaks Hindi, English, Russian, and poetry. Please welcome Sri Manish ji.
Namaskar, respected Jeffrey Armstrong, Sandy, and all the eminent panelists who are present today virtually to launch the book written by Jeffrey, our own Jeffrey Armstrong. As Sandy just mentioned, he is the recipient of ICCR Indologist Award for 2021. I welcome you all. Good evening. Hari Om Tat Sat. I extend my greetings to each one of you present here virtually from all around the globe. First of all, I would like to thank Vasa family for inviting me to be part of this online book launch, Dreaming the Countless World by Jeffrey G. I extend my best wishes to Jeffrey G, also known as Kavindra Rishi, for this wonderful book which he has penned. in a poetic form, and we will hear from him about the book more in detail when he formally introduces the book to all of us. He is a spiritual giant with thousands of followers worldwide. I wish all the success to this book and earnestly hope that it reaches all corners of the globe. Hopefully, you will have an e-edition also for those who cannot buy the print edition. We are all proud of Indian culture, and that is how we are all together on this virtual platform celebrating the success and the launch of this book. The culture which assimilates, the Indian culture assimilates and unites everything and everyone. A culture that believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which means development for all. It is also the basis of governance in India today. Talking about spirituality, India has been the land of spiritual knowledge since time memorial, and all of you present here are well versed and well knowledgeable, and I would not indulge in more of this spiritual talk. But let me say that India's worldview has mentioned in our ancient scriptures. We never say that I be nurtured or let I be powerful. In our temples, in our prayers, we always say, we pray that everyone should be nurtured and everyone should be strengthened. And therefore, it is no surprise that India has persistently strived for justice, dignity, opportunity, and prosperity for everyone and for the entire world. Let me quote another saying from our scriptures, which says, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. May all be happy, may all be healthy. The philosophies of the Vedas and Upanishads believe that every Vyakti, individual, Samasti, society, Srishti, creation, and Paramasti, God, are all interconnected. We do not see them in isolation, but also as an integrated whole. This philosophy recognizes that the planet, Mother Earth, belongs to everyone. Earth provides us more than what we need. We all have enough water, air, minerals, grains, plantation, everything from the nature. It emphasizes not to exploit the nature, but to use it as a resources in a balanced manner. Our entire Rig Veda, the oldest of our 4 Vedas, is dedicated to this. Keeping this in mind, as also the world is grappling through climate crisis, the government of India launched a mission. It's called Mission Life, LIFE, which means lifestyle for environment. Initiative to encourage younger generation and all of us to adopt environment-friendly lifestyles. Our desire of global good also gave birth to a philosophy called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. And as all of you would be aware that we recently, during our presidency of G20, our theme of the G20 presidency was One Earth, One Family, One Future. And we demitted this chairmanship of G20 last month, at the end of last month. So our perspective is for global good and global welfare. And this vision is given to the world again and again. For example, I would try to link the philosophy of India with the current policy measures which we are doing in India with the theme of one sun, one world, one grid. We launched the International Solar Alliance to harness the solar power for the world as a whole, so that we can reduce fossil fuel and preserve the environment. Similarly, during the COVID pandemic time, we worked on the mantra, One Earth, One Health. As you all know, India is the vaccine capital of the world. And during the COVID time, we, as a country, as a humanitarian approach to our policy, we supplied and delivered vaccines to 96 countries. More than 163 million doses were given out to global commons, and 15 million of them were gifted, and some came to Canada also. So this is how we approach in India through the spiritual age-old tradition to the contemporary world. Similarly, another aspect which is becoming relevant in current times is the yoga and the Ayurvedic system of traditional knowledge which India has to offer to the world. Because we have seen that a lot of challenges happened during COVID times, Corona times, and both yoga and Ayurveda is a good solutions to the new age diseases. And here is the example where what East has to offer to the West, and it can bring a global solution when East meets West, and we can get into the concept of integrative healing through yoga and Ayurveda. We are facing through difficult times, disruption, war, terrorism, unrest, violence, and here comes the age-old philosophy of peaceful coexistence. And this is an ancient wisdom which comes into play if we follow this. I'm sure the people will read about the spiritual glory and ancient messages which India has to give to the world. And there is no possibility of conflict when there is no dualism. There is no possibility of conflict if there is no dualism. And this is propagated by Adi Sankaracharya, the great rishi of the ancient times. And most of the world problem can be resolved if we follow the principles and philosophies propounded by our ancient sages, our ancient gurus. Let me talk about Jeffrey G. We have been associated and know each other since past over a little over 2 years, and I have been with him and being part of his celebration when he launched his book Gita, which Sandy just referred. And what a pleasure to be part of this launch of this another publication from him, Dreaming the Countless Worlds. And I wish him all the success. He keeps writing, and hope he will keep writing in the future and guide people to the right path, bringing the Indian spiritual knowledge to the humanity. And this let his journey be more fulfilling and to the world in general. I once again thank you, every one of you, to giving me this platform, and wish this book a very success. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Jai. Thank you so much, Sri Manish. Your kind words, very kind words. And of course, those of you, I really recommend that you go on to some of the Indian sites, the Consulate General sites, and also Incredible India, because there are things there that India is doing that we aren't privy to because of, I guess we'll say, censorship or media blockage. But India is doing amazing things. And Jeffrey always says, it is such an incredible culture, and we have learned so much from our gurus that we could never possibly pay it back in this lifetime. So I know Jeffrey's dedication is to repeat what the gurus have taught him and to share it with the world. So thank you, Manish Ji, for your kind words again, and thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Our next guest is Shanook Tiwari, who is our cover artist. And I don't think Shanook needs much introduction to this crowd. We all love his beautiful art. What you may not know is that, as well as his spiritual artwork, he is the author of a children's book called Dharma Games. Shanook lives in Holland and is well known for designing complete corporate identities with branding, merchandise, web design, photo shoots, animations, videos, and apps. He's worked for the municipality of Rotterdam, Eneco, Samsung, Heineken, Red Bull, Health Freaks, Massage Manier, London Beauty Bar, and many others. He also does a lot of event posters and album covers for well-known artists, too many to list here. About 3 years ago, we found Shanook on Instagram on his site called Art is Well, and we commissioned him to produce our cover for the Gita Comes Alive, and now again for this book. So many, hundreds in fact, have commented on this beautiful cover of this book, and we are so grateful. Please welcome the man who did the magic, Shaunak Tiwari.
Good evening, everyone. Namaste. Good to see you all. Namaste, Sandy G, Jeffrey G. Thank you all for having me again. Good to see the Vasa family. Always a pleasure to see you, and such a delight to see all of you at this time worldwide. Um, yeah, it's amazing to be again a part of this amazing journey, especially after we did the successful artwork and the whole project on the Gita, which has reached millions of people, and still people are enjoying Jeffrey's and Sandy's amazing work. I'm still receiving a lot of compliments about the book itself and all around it. So I was really honored when Sandy and Jeffrey asked me again for the cover of Dreaming the Countless Worlds, based on yeah the poetry of Jeffrey himself. So it was really I was really honored. And yeah, for me, working with Sandy and Jeffrey's always been a delight, because especially how I know Jeffrey, especially what he's preaching, it all comes to one thing, and that's hope. You know, for me, working with them, also on the Gita, it was all actually summarized when it comes to hope for a better life, for a better being. And the same thing now comes together with this new, uh, with this new form of poetry of him. And I'm not a poet myself, but but Jeffrey inspires me a lot in many ways, also in creative aspect, and also to be a poem as well. So I wrote a small piece for Sandy and Jeffrey. I hope I can share it with you. Um, in cosmic dance where dreams unfold, Shiva and Parvati stories untold, countless worlds within their gaze, a celestial ballad in infinite ways. Shiva, the ascetic in meditation trance, whispers creation in every cosmic dance. In Himalayan heights where spirits soar, a universe is born forevermore. Parvati, the goddess with grace of divine, in Shiva's arm their love does entwine. Mountains echo the tales mountains echo the tales they conceive in a dance of time where destinies weave. Dreaming galaxies in the strands of her hair, Parvati weaves cosmic threads, treats with care. Shiva, the cosmic dancer in rhythm divine, creates universes with every trill and sign. On Kailash peaks where eternity lies, Shiva's third eye where creation ties. Destroyer and creator in harmonious rhyme in the cosmic ballad where dreams align. Moonlit nights in the sacred embrace, Shiva and Parvati, a timeless grace. In the dance of shadows and celestial swirls, dreaming the countless worlds, the cosmic worlds. With the trident's might and the Ganga's flow, Shiva and Parvati, in cosmic glow, in their eternal love, a universe takes flight, dreaming the countless world in eternal night.
Wow, wow, wow. I think Jeffrey wants to answer that one. Jeffrey, I'll turn it to you for a second.
My answer, of course, is Yakundendu Tusara Hara Davala Yasubravasta Virita. When Sri Saraswati speaks through anyone, we drop everything. We listen. Our heart beats differently. We wake up. We realize that we've been sleeping, and we are excited to hear more. So thank you for sharing. And it is this sharing that we're doing that is culture. And it only shows me that the historical moment is right for this sharing to go global, beautiful, and to heal the world and to create the hope of which you were speaking. So
Thank you, Jeffrey. I want to thank you, all of you, and enjoy the evening. And Jeffrey and Sandy, I wish you best of luck launching this amazing book once again, and looking forward to be part of the next one as well. And I wish you all enjoy. Please enjoy. It's going to be an amazing night. It's over here almost 2:30, but I'm still trying to join in. So namaste and take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Chinook. I don't blame him for having to go. He's got a family and they have school tomorrow. So we really appreciate it. But I did want to give him accolades because he just did an amazing job. He worked on that cover back and forth for weeks and weeks. So we're thrilled with it. All right, our next special guest is someone very dear to my heart, Dr. Lucy Guest, or Divya Prabha. She currently is calling in from Varanasi, my favorite place. Lucy is an Oxford University grad who worked in equity sales in American investment banks. She's looking for something more meaningful in life. She moved to India to study, and then she went on to found 2 free education charities open to all for free. I think she has 200 children there now, and it's based on the principles of yoga and Sanatan Dharma. If you go to her Facebook page, you'll see that many of her students are winning many Sanskrit contests and yoga throughout India. They're called yogamission.uk and chandramali.org. She's also the founder of the Kashi Yoga Festival, and she has recently completed her PhD in ancient Sanskrit grammar. So I have to watch my tongue around her. I often say that if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would go to India and work with Lucy if she would have me. So please welcome the amazing Lucy Guest.
If I could start with a prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Pranam Jeffrey Ji, it's such a pleasure to be with you in the universal space. My humble pranams to the Consular General, Honorable Consular General of Vancouver, and my dear friends, guests, and dear souls. It's such a pleasure to be here in this universal space because, you know, you all know Jeffrey is a great spiritual teacher. He's also a pioneer. The pioneering work that he did on the Bhagavad Gita is not just an example to the world of how to inculcate the deeply spiritual words of Sanskrit into everyday language, allowing those vibrations to permeate the space as you read the book, which is so important. And it's again something that's weaved through the thread of this poetry, is bringing the original vibrations and sounds, which some people may not initially know the actual translation of the word, but Sanskrit is such a special thing that the words and their meaning are eternally bound. And so by just the repeating of that sound, the repeating of that vibration, looking at the original letters, it enables to uncover that word in your consciousness to reach the root cause of the sound. And when I talk about the root cause of the sound, that takes me straight to this beautiful work, Dreaming the Countless Worlds, because when I read it, for me, I could just hear the vibration of Om resonating from Govinda's flute through to the ecliptical sound as the Omkara wove its way up, and ending in the last lines of the poetry with, for a moment all is still and only the sound of Om is heard beneath the rustling leaves, but no one laments or grieves, for a mortal love is a singing bird. And the way, Jeffrey G, you've expressed, you know, the churning of the ocean, the sound of the flute, you know, it takes us to our real selves, which is really what this is all about, taking ourselves to the reality of existence. We may see with these external eyes a constantly changing natural world, but the reality is, with our real eyes, we can turn inside and see that which is permanent. And within each sound that strikes on our ears or strikes within, the ultimate reality is the sound of Om is within. So it's such, I'm so lucky that I got to have a peek preview of the book. And of course, I'll be buying it by tonight to get that free shipping. But thank you so much for inviting me to be here. because I love everything you do, whether you're talking or writing or just sitting with you. It's a real pleasure to know you and share this space with you in this universe. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. And I hope that that touch of light from Kashi is radiating through the background. I've got the Ganga sitting behind me, and I hope that all gives you a touch of the eternal alokik existence. Pranam.
Pranams. Oh, that was so beautiful. And there's nothing better than being on the Ganga at 4 a.m. So we're all envious. Please do not buy the book. There's one winging its way to you. So
Oh, thank you very much.
we're so grateful for you to be here. All right. Thank you. All right. Our next special guest is also from India, a good friend of Jeffrey's, and I guess we've known him for many years now, Nilesh Oak. And while I'm reading his bio, the boys will cue up a message that he has sent. So, Nilesh Oak, a dear friend of Jeffrey's who just moved to India, and due to the time zone and the flux that he's in at the moment, he sent a video message. Nilesh holds a BS and MS in chemical engineering and is also an executive MBA. He's interested in astronomy, archaeology, geology, genetics, quantum mechanics, economics, ancient narratives, and philosophy. He is the author of When Did the Mahabharata War Happen? And also the historic Rama. But what he's most famous for in layman's terms is that he enumerated over 215 specific astronomical and associated observations from the Mahabharata text and tested them with a scientific acumen and logical reasoning to arrive at 5,561 BCE as the year of the Mahabharata War, which predates the current dating by 2,000 years. His research decisively falsifies 96% of all existing claims for the year of the Mahabharata War. So please welcome Nilesh Oak.
Namaskar. Nilesh Oak speaking to you from a very auspicious holy place where Bhagwan Ram and Mother Sita spent more than 2+ years of their 14-year-long exile. The language that is spoken in this area is Marathi. Now, in this language, there is a saying, Je na dekhe Ravi, te dekhe Kavi. What it means is a Kavi is capable of seeing things, perceiving things, comprehending things that even the sun is not capable of seeing. This is because while the sun sees it with chakshu, or rather allows us to see with our chakshus, eyes, and thus pratyaksha, and therefore sun is known as the vibhuti of Bhagwan as pratyaksha, and that is how the world is created, sustained, and also seen. On the other hand, the Kavi is a rishi, a seer, a knower, a scientist. Kavi is also a muni, one who employs his mana, mind, mana buddhi, viveka buddhi, discriminating attitude to connect the dots. And thus, while there are many poets, Kavi is a rare breed. Valmiki is a Kavi, and so is Vyasa. Kalidasa is a Kavi, and so is Jnaneshwar. Kavindra Rishi is in this Guru Shishya Parampara. The title of a Kavi comes with great responsibilities. Kavi conveys the secrets of the Sanatan, the existence, and the creation by understanding the capacity of the reader or the listener. Kavi also ensures that he remains transparent to transcendence. I encourage everyone to read and recite the book, the poetry, the kavya, dreaming the countless worlds. This is a very deep tradition. Rigvedic Kavis have described it. For example, Nasadiya Sutta. Purana Kavis have also described the creation in their own words, but also that was suitable for their time, place, and circumstances. Kavindra Rishi has refined the essence of all of them and is presenting it to us for our times and our circumstances and the context that we live in. My greetings to Kavindra Rishi, Sandhya Devi Dasi, and the entire team who made this project possible. Namaskar.
I am seldom speechless. And when I am, it's because Saraswati just spoke through someone, and I'm trying to hear it more profoundly. To be in the company of all of you beautiful Atmas who are doing everything you can to improve the world with the Vedic Vidya. I'm going to keep on writing poetry just to have your company. Over to you, Sandhya.
Well, that was a beautiful lead-in to introducing Kavindra Rishi. Thank you so very much, Nilesh. That was lovely. Well, what can I say about Jeffrey Armstrong? I could go on and read a lengthy bio about him. But you can do that online. So I wanted to share with you some personal information about him. Well, for starters, he won my heart with his poetry, not because he was so darn smart, but of course, you know, the whole package was charming. If he had his way, Jeffrey would spend most of his time immersed in writing poetry, chronicling the ecstasy of his meditations, weaving narratives inspired by Vedic wisdom, and sounding the clarion call against the pitfalls of human folly. He holds a collection of 1,000 or so unpublished works which cross all styles, from the satirical to the lyrical to the mystical. He's even written the lyrics to numerous albums. Change of Heart was a very famous one he did with Michael Cassidy. I think that was 3 albums. And another one, it was called There's Only One Love, with the Grammy Award winner Patrick Bernard, and one called Trust that he did with Thomas Barkey. So in a world where the mundane often overshadows the poet's voice, Jeffrey Armstrong stands as a beacon, reminding us that words carefully chosen, thoughtfully arranged, can open our hearts and bring immense richness and beauty to our lives. Life might not always reward poets. I can attest to that. But they do bring meaning, and without them, our existence would lack the vibrant hues that only poetry can provide. As the publisher of Vasa, it is my desire to publish more of his poems in the coming years. In my personal opinion, Kavindra Rishi is a master of the written word, a captivating wordsmith whose poetic prowess transcends the ordinary. It is my honor to bring his works to the world and to share them with you. Please welcome Kavindra Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong.
My beloved Sandhya Devi, Nileshji, all who spoke and all who could speak, and I think I would say nothing and let them all speak. You're all speaking poetry to me. And I begin Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvara, Guru Sakshad Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, because anyone who's had great gurus knows that whatever happens after that is not them. It's them trying to serve, trying to be in the service of what was given to them. What came into their life that saved them from the emptiness and futility they saw all around and could not help but see. To the brokenness of their heart for the many times they've watched others, innocents, be so harmed and so broken. I will not tell you but one story of this. When I was 8 years old in second grade, my teacher, a wonderful lady who taught us the best we could, and we sat in those desks that you crawled under them in case there was a nuclear war so the ceiling didn't kill you. And one day, she explained Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And she told us, second grade, I couldn't believe my ears, that we had dropped nuclear weapons on cities. And all I saw was evaporating dogs and cats and babies and people and beauty, and I couldn't stand it. I thought I must be in the wrong place. I've come to the wrong planet. This can't be right. And that night I went off to my favorite railroad tracks and laid down upon them, up on a small hillside where the train would go by, because I was in the wrong planet. I couldn't stand to be here. And a slow train, fortunately this time, came, chugging down the tracks, big bright headlight. I covered my eyes and saw another light, and I saw a sky. And for the first time, I was dreaming the countless worlds. A voice in my heart spoke to me with my eyes pressed. I saw a moon behind clouds. It came out behind them and shined. And a voice said, stick around to see how it ends. You'll be glad you did. That is why I am here in the pleasure of your company. I jumped up, laughed, jumped off the hillside, rolled on the grass, went home, and wrote poetry after that. Never again would I run away from what I saw. I ran toward it with a nectar, and I ran toward those with that nectar. I ran to the Vedic culture of Bharat because their gurus were carrying that life-giving juice in the mantras and the poetry that they taught me, in the shlokas. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. Whatever an acharya who truly shows us how to honor one another and all life, when such a person reaches you and enters your life, everything changes. It is by watching that. It is by moving like that. Acharya means one who lives what they speak, who embodies it in every way. It takes longer. It's called Sanatana Dharma. I'm so grateful of you all coming together to celebrate the entrance of this Vedic message into poetry, because that is the stage in each culture where its essence can reach those who speak that language if they're ready, if their heart is open. Because it's not the poet speaking, it's Saraswati. It is the mother of nature, the mother of all that is beautiful, who said to me, there is a distant place that is neither void nor space, a realm where all is consciousness, untouched by birth and death, alive but without breath, no dark or pain, only endless bliss. That exquisite realm with wisdom at its helm is made of forms that never die, where each distinctive being has eyes for sacred seeing, and is known as the immortal sky, Vaikuntha. That sky where no one has anxiety. And so, through the inspiration and through the inspiring of my gurus, I had confidence to do the one thing that English must have that Sanskrit can't do for us here. And that is, we must let this message land at the very core of each language on the planet. So there will be Sanskrit words in the process, but our heart will open and we will feel the directness of the mantras. They're like thunder and lightning. They enter the heart and they shake it in the most beautiful way until it's singing and resonating and hearing the voices. It is the hearing of the voices stage that writes the poem. If the poet is diligent and learns the knowledge, then they're used as an instrument. It took me a while to understand, but by the time I left the ashram, Saraswati had decided to use me as one of her sitars, as one of her voices. And I put my hands in the air and said, I want nothing else. That is why I'm here. That is why my astrology guru called me Kavindra Rishi, Kavi Indra. Because in Jyotish, the guru knows why we're here. They see our dharma. They see our very essential being, the one in which we've birthed, and they see its best use, and they whisper that in our ear respectfully, not telling us what to do, but inspiring us who to be, and suggesting the path that we try so that we can see if that path suits us best. Every one of you has a just perfect way of serving, of being of seva. And once this message reaches us, we awaken. And once we awaken, the nightmare we used to dream will never do again. We hold on to that. It's called holding the lotus feet of the Guru. And because you have this book, I decided, and Sandy, I'm just going to read one, that I would read a poem that's not in this book, one of the 1,000 others, a brief one, called The Lotus That Blooms at Night. One spring I was called to walk in the forest by a voice within my heart. I could not resist. And so I wandered sylvan paths unknown until the trail was dense and overgrown. Beside that way, a stream meandered slow, which I then followed to see where it would go. The frogs leapt, startled at my heavy tread, where dragonflies had teased them from their bed. And I was just kidding. You'll have to read it in my next book. I just wanted to show you how contagious this is, how much it becomes our whole life to seek it, to chant the mantras, to listen carefully to hear the voices of Saraswati, of Brahma, of Shiva, of Durga, of Vishnu, of Lakshmi, of Sri Bhagavan, of Krishna and Radha, singing to us, never alone again, never lonely again, never aggressive in sharing this, only hoping lovingly, gently, that others will want to listen. I am so deeply touched by the response to this book coming out. What else can a kavi hope for, except that they be used as an instrument? And with that, I don't want to speak too long because I speak too much. I'm going to hand it back to my beloved Sandhya Devi. And I think we can hand it back and forth in ways that she will direct. Because, yes, I would read to you until you fell asleep, but I won't, because I know better. A reluctance to sell creates a willingness to buy. But know this, I am so touched by your hearts, by your eyes, by your smiles, by your presence, by the kind words that came before. I am inspired again. Uh-oh, trouble. I'm going to write more poems. What can I do? Oh well. Sandhya Devi, back to you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Well, I was hoping that you would read a little bit more from the book, but as you say, they'll just have to get the book. We're almost sold out on it. I cannot believe it. You guys responded so well. I'm already going to authorize a second printing. Now, mind you, it was a small printing, but they're almost all gone. So thank you, thank you. Poetry is not dead. And I can assure you, once you get your hands on this book, each page, I don't know, I wish I could have put pictures to them. Maybe that's a project we do with Chinook, because they're just page after page of images that just capture your heart. I saved the last VIP guest to my very dear friend, Laura Plumb. She's a longtime student of Vedic wisdom, a devotee of beauty, and a lifelong stargazer. I wanted her to have the last word, as she is a wonderful representative, can't speak right now, for the voice of the feminine divine. Laura was selected by Spirituality and Health as one of the 100 trailblazers of yoga and Ayurveda. She is the founder of VedaWise, an author of the best-selling book, Ayurveda Cooking for Beginners. It's fabulous. I love it. She's a creator and presenter of the online video course, The Medicine in Your Kitchen, Introduction to Ayurvedic Cooking, hosted by Spirituality and Health. She's the writer and host of the 53-part television show, Cleanse Veda, and the 12-part series called Divine Yoga. She's formerly the general manager of the Discovery Channel in Europe. Laura leads online courses and gives consultations on Ayurveda, Jyotish, yoga therapy, and nutrition. Please welcome the beautiful Laura Plumb.
Thank you, Sandy G. Thank you, Jeffrey G. Thank you, everyone. So many beautiful, inspiring speakers. I have very little to say because most people have said it all, other than to say, Jeffrey, I have this book. I'm so grateful to have it in my hands. I feel like I'm holding a kind of bija, the seed of creation itself, the Om of Saraswati that creates all. I feel that in reading this book, we are offered the end of belonging, longing. And what I mean by that is that in reading this book, we no longer long to belong. We know we belong. That is the greatest gift I think anyone can give. We belong. We belong to this radiant world. We are embraced by the divine. We are delighted by the Shri. This book, Dreaming the Countless Worlds, all I would say to add to it is my dream is that you have countless days to continue writing and teaching, because this truly is a divine world, and I am so grateful that you've gifted us with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That's very sweet. We have a very famous poet online that I see right now that was not listed on our roster, but maybe Laurel Erica might want to say a word or two. And while she's composing herself, I popped that up on her. I wanted to say thank you very much to Andrea Goldsmith for the editing on this project. So thank you so very much, Andrea. We put you through the mill on this. What I didn't mention earlier about this book is that it was actually in the works about 10 years ago. And then we started on the Bhagavad Gita project. And then we got into the decolonization language and the linguistics. And so we had to go back through this epic poem and decolonize it. which meant we had to restructure all the rhyme. So Jeffrey, it's kind of funny when Jeffrey writes a poem. You may have heard me say this before. It just drops out of him. He writes it like mad handwriting, and then I type it up with very few corrections. But it's very unlike him to have to go back and rework a rhyme because it just flows out. Erica, you all ready? I'm sorry to pop, but I know you were just here, and I know you're one of the best poets that we know. Many people know. Do you have a word to say?
Just how honored I am to be in such illustrious company. And it's everything spoken, all the visuals, all the beautiful beings. I'm just very grateful to be an onlooker and an applauder of Jeffrey's genius and your exquisite support, Sandy.
Well, thank
So,
you. Well,
thank
love
you.
Love you. We just had you here and were graced with your poetry, which was just magnificent. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We have some other special guests in the background here that I want to acknowledge. Stephen Knapp is on here, who is also a member of the Vedic Friends Association and a fabulous, prolific author in his own right. Stephen, are you still with us?
Well, I was just tuning in to see what was going on. I wasn't sure if I was going to participate or not.
Well, if I see your name, we must at least acknowledge your greatness.
Well, that's funny. Thanks so much. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to see a new book coming out. I mean, as an author myself, I know what a great deal it is to put together a book and come out with something like this. So, especially poetry, which usually, can go on for years before you assemble everything that you really feel is adequate or necessary or the right word to say. So, yeah, it's quite an accomplishment for Jeffrey, and glad to see something new coming out, and glad to be here as well. So congratulations, Jeffrey, and to you too, Sandy, because I know it takes a lot of work to publish a book. Putting it together is one thing, publishing it is something else altogether.
Well, you've left a great legacy, and we're so grateful that you're here, and we're grateful that we can call you a friend. So thank you so very much.
Well, likewise, glad to be here and glad to see people like yourselves and visionaries like yourselves doing as much as you are. So congratulations again, and I hope we'll see more books coming out.
Thank you. I also see that we have Tejal Shah on, and Tejal runs the Hindu Mandir conference that we attended in New York. She did a fabulous job. Tejal, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sandy. I just wanted to say a word about Stephen Knapp because he's so spectacular. And he's one of those diligent and brilliant authors who just turns out beautiful book after beautiful book. Everything that he's done is an important contribution to bringing the Vedic Vidya into the English language. So to everyone, please look up the many works in his name. Together, he and I started an organization called the Vedic Friends Association. He was the president of it, and I had the privilege of working with him in it. But it was his inspiration and his leadership that brought it into full manifestation. So he's a very humble, as true sadhus are, but he's also very prolific, and he's made tremendous contributions to this Vedic renaissance. So I just wanted to say that and say thank you for him being with us today. Back to you, Sandy.
Jeffrey G, Manish G would like to hear a few more lines from the poem. I know you read the first two stanzas, but I don't think they realized that it was part of the poem. So maybe you could read, maybe you could just go over very quickly and tell us how the book was broken up. I know you had broken that down, so just to give them an idea.
Sure.
You know which one of my favorite verses is 433. Why don't you start there? Line 433. I just love this one. Just so visual. And this is going to be out of context for those of you who are, because we're right in the middle of the poem. 433, Jeffrey, page 19.
While the Devas in mystic ships, each with mantras on their lips, flew to earth to teach and mate, there casting their seeds, they created special breeds as guardians of the celestial gate. Then they instructed the kings and queens in all dharmic things, teaching them all the ways of ruling in harmony with the divine and the shapes of sacred design, with secret weapons for protecting and dueling. While fairies and elves and sprites descended to earth from the heights, so mighty forests of healing trees grew everywhere upon earth, those places of abundant birth, the keepers of all life's mysteries. But hidden in the darkened mire, poison seeds that would someday conspire, gestating in polluted caves like embryos of something evil or grubs from an ancient weevil. They dreamed of empires run by slaves. But first came the golden age, the blossoming flowering stage with fruit trees and flowers in every glen. The climate was gentle and warm. Bees in humming swarm shared their honey with beasts and men. There the arts and graces grew, and sweet Saraswati flew on her graceful swan to every place, giving music and beauty birth. Clever craftsmanship and mirth decorated each town with art and grace. Their women were safe and free to share their ecstasy with any man they chose to bless, and the children were beloved of all, singing from spring to fall, a paradise there in the wilderness. I want to just say, I will keep going, we will keep going. All of you keep going into this nectar. I was going to say this earlier, but you see, Sanskrit is made of, first of all, a perfectly pronounced alphabet of 52 letters, Shiksha, the correct pronunciation of Sanskrit. Then it has grammatical rules that are perfect, a couple of thousand, so that it carries a message through time without loss or distortion. Then it has etymology, and etymology means all the words keep their meaning forever and don't break or wear out or get twisted over time. And all of this knowledge has come to us, but the last of the four linguistic arts that made Sanskrit what it is chandas, or poetry. Because when poetry is added, the heart sings along. And when the heart sings along, we are healed by the message. It becomes us. It goes to our very core. It flows through us, and we recite the poetry, and the ultimate of that poetry is the Sanskrit mantras. So to Saraswati, Om Ya Kundendu tu Sarahara Davala, Ya Subhravastavrita, Ya Vina Varadanda Mandita Karya Sveta Padmasana, Ya Brahma Chuta Shankara Prabriti Bir Devai Sada Vandita, Samam Saraswati Bhagavati Nihishesha Jadyapaha. Om. Back to you, Sandy.
Well, I want to thank everybody again for being here. I don't want to go too much over time, but this is the book. You can get it online, jeffreyarmstrong.com. I think Dave will put the links in. We also wanted to thank Dr. Lakshman Prajapat for being one of our main sponsors for Vasa Publishing. Thank you so very much for being here. And I see Ravi Huda is here from Toronto. Thank you so very much. We appreciate that. Rajesh Acharya, Hannah Wineworm, everyone. I can say something wonderful about every one of you on this line because I know you are our avid supporters. So thank you so very much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being with us for this book launch. It means so much to both of us. We'll see you very soon. To those of you who are senior students, we have a class in 45 minutes. We'll see you online. If you want to join us, if you're first time to be with us, you can join us by going to jeffreyarmstrong.com and you'll see the master class being given. And we'll send you the link. All right, everybody. Shrimanesh Ji, thank you again
You.
for being with
Namaskar.
us. Lucy, thank you for being with us. Shanuk, we love you. Thank you. We have many more book covers to do. Laura, we love you always. We'll see you very soon in San Diego in February. I can't wait. Everybody else, much love. Thank you so much to our tech team. Namaste. Jai Guruji. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri